7. Edward, we're going to handles. Okay. When you're ready.
Hi everyone. Please accept our welcome for coming this evening. My name is Nicole. I'm going to be your host and the moderator for the discussion later on. First of all, we'd like to thank Nicole for allowing us to use their beautiful space for this. As we're all wearing masks, so I'm grateful to see that, but please make sure you keep them on at all times. If you would, please silence your phones. That includes the actors. You don't have to turn them off, but just put them on airplane mode or silence them. That would be helpful. We are not recording this except for the purposes of our lovely live stream, so please do not record any portion of this performance. We appreciate that. Act 1 will be about 45 minutes, and then we'll take a 10-minute intermission, and then about an hour for Act 2. The bathrooms are just off the lobby. If you haven't found them, if you go out the door and to the right, they're in that corner. We have the lovely Procknow up there. There is some profanity in this play and one racial epithet, just be aware of that. I also need to read the following. This project is supported by the United Arts Council of Raleigh and Wake County, Raleigh Arts, and the North Carolina Arts Council, a division of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Without ado, let us begin.
One Quarter by Larry Bliss. Characters and cast: the inheritors. Cynthia Cindy Morningside, white, early 40s, eldest child of Paul Morningside and Diane Whitehurst, half-sister of Arthur and Andrea, played by Melanie Simmons. Arthur Artie Morningside, white, late 20s, middle child of Paul and Adele Morningside, played by Christopher Bynum. Andrea Andy Morningside-Garska, white, mid-20s, youngest child of Paul and Adele, played by Marina Enslen. Shenequia Massengill, black biracial, late 30s, mother of Demetrius, 7, and Tamika, 5, played by Sierra Nicole Smith. Jane Middleton Archer, white, 60s, any gender, the Morningside family lawyer. Paul Morningside, seen in a flashback, recently deceased, white, 60s, patriarch of the family. Jane and Paul, played by Mary Rowland. Stage directions read by Judy. Settings: the living room and kitchen of Cynthia Morningside's apartment. Little decoration except for a few hackneyed art prints on the wall and sports memorabilia. The kitchen area has cabinets, a fridge, and a small stove. A small bar separates it from the living room. Couch, end tables, chairs, PC, and a TV. In addition, a hospital room in Arlington, Virginia. A bed, a chair, and diagnostic equipment. Act 1, Scene 1. At Rise, Cynthia Morningside's apartment, early weekday afternoon. Cynthia and her half-sister, Andrea Morningside-Garska, are watching the TV news from the couch. Cynthia has a beer open, and Andrea is drinking tea. As they watch, they wait for a Zoom conference with Jane Middleton Archer, the family lawyer. The killing has rekindled underlying racial tensions in the city, where white nationalists and members of the Black Lives Matter movement have clashed. For more on the story, we go to... Cynthia grabs the remote and mutes the broadcast.
I was watching that.
It's been on all day. It just tears me up. She's so young. I know it's politically incorrect, but maybe the cop had his reasons. It happens.
It happens too often.
I just think people can make too much of this sometimes.
Cynthia, let's not go another round on this. There's enough on our plate.
At least Dad's at peace now. I think we gave him a good farewell.
Being back in the hospital after being home took a lot out of him. And his spirit. Seeing him, it was all I could do not to come out crying.
At least you got to see him in his last days.
beating yourself up. You went so quickly. I'm sure you thought it would last just a little bit longer.
Yes.
There's no point in adding to your grief.
Thanks. No, you're all right, perhaps, sister.
You're not half anything.
Nah, don't get mushy.
It's my nature.
Anyway, the meeting should be starting in a minute now. This. It's just a formality. We already know what's in the will.
I wish Artie were here. I hope he's alright.
With him being in and out of the program, anything could happen.
I prayed for him every night.
Yeah, me too. In my own way. Dad's passing really hit him hard.
He said he had a meeting with his sponsor. At least he has one. He didn't before.
Always a silver lining.
Andrea fiddles with the remote and accesses Zoom.
I'm glad he already showed you how to do that. I'm in the Stone Age with that kind of thing.
He's the tech whiz, alright.
The Zoom meeting is on. Cynthia's name appears in the frame.
I hate seeing myself on camera.
Stop. She activates their video. A new window appears. We see Jane Middleton Archer, the family lawyer. She looks worried.
There you are, Jane. We see you.
I'm seeing you and hearing you too.
I hope you're well. As best as can be expected, I suppose. And you?
I miss seeing my favorite clients in person.
Likewise, even if you are a lawyer.
Touche. I don't see Arthur.
He called this morning. Some sort of personal business cropped up at the last minute, and he sends his apologies.
Well, he needs to contact me. There's been a recent development in the estate.
I thought this was just a formality. Get the ball rolling.
Yeah, what gives?
Paul had certain information he did not wish to divulge while he was still alive. I urged him to be more forthcoming, but he was adamant. As you well know, he had a stubborn streak.
Yeah.
Before I go into the new development, I will remind you that settling an estate is a fraught event, even in the best of circumstances. It's easy to get caught up in the passions of the moment, particularly when the people involved are still in the throes of grief. So, I'm asking you to summon your better angels and consider what I'm about to reveal in a reasonable and deliberate manner.
How to value any of this.
Yes. Let's just get on with this, okay?
Back in 2018, after he came home from the hospital the first time, Paul asked me to alter the will. He did not give me a reason, but he was quite definite. He also forbade me from informing any of you.
That sounds like him.
Yeah, I think he did a lot of things when he was in Virginia that he didn't tell us about. He and I didn't have a lot of heart-to-hearts when we moved back down here last year.
On that, we're agreed. As you know, the original will stipulated that the estate, his bank accounts, the house, his possessions, his investments, etc., were to be divided equally between the two of you and your brother, 1/3 each.
Were?
Each of you still receive an equal share of the estate. However, Paul added a 4th inheritance.
Do tell.
Let me reiterate, all of you will receive what is legally yours, but each of your shares will now be 1/4 instead of 1/3.
Well, who is this mystery person? We're his only kin, aside from some second cousins that we never see.
I'm urging you to be forbearing and adaptable. I've arranged for the 4th person to be in the meeting. She's been in the waiting room for some time now. I'm going to admit her in a moment. This will give you a chance to compose yourselves.
Compose ourselves.
There were certain factors in his decision that may unsettle you.
Cynthia moves to Andrea and puts a hand on her shoulder.
All right, hang on, Andy, we got this.
Dad said nothing to me about this. Did he mention it to you?
It's all new to me.
A second window opens on the screen to reveal a black woman who appears anxious. The name on her Zoom window is Shenequia Massengill.
I'm seeing you now. Miss Massengill, can you see and hear me?
Yes, I can, and the others.
Cynthia, Andrea, this is Miss Shenequia Massengill of Durham, formerly of Arlington, Virginia. Ms. Massengill is the new inheritor.
Hello? I'm sorry to meet you under such circumstances. I'm very sorry for your loss.
I informed Miss Massengill yesterday about the new status of the estate. I've sent her your contact information.
This is completely wrong. As executor, I protest.
Cynthia, I understand you're upset. It's surprising to all of us, but the matter is out of our hands. Under state law, you must carry out the decedent's wishes as written, whether you like them or not.
I don't know what to say, Jane. This is very sudden, and nothing against you, ma'am. Very confusing.
I'm not taking it personally, and this is Morningside-Garska. It came as a shock to me too.
Really?
Believe me, this came out of the blue.
I don't like the idea of sharing my part with a total stranger. I think we should fight this.
Cynthia, let's not add to the...
What, who the hell are you, Miss Shenequia, whatever the name your name is, to intrude on our family at a time like this?
You're jumping to conclusions.
What, this is just plain wrong.
It's done.
Undo it.
Heaven. Jane, we're gonna need some time to process all of this.
I understand completely. I think it would be best for all concerned to take a few days to breathe and let things settle. Let's have another conference, say, later in the week, if that's agreeable.
Is that agreeable to you, Ms.
Massengill, it is.
Good. I'll have Brad suggest some meeting times. In the meantime, try just to let things sort themselves out. Paul did not reveal his intentions, but I have to assume they're good. Cynthia, Andrea, Miss Massengill, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, we're all off guard.
Thank you so much, Jane. All the best to you and your family. Miss Massengill, I hope we can find a way through this.
Be safe, everyone.
One last enigmatic look from Shenequia, then the meeting ends. Cynthia and Andrea stare at the screen.
Well,
He better kick in the ass.
I guess this is his last surprise for us. He sure went out in style.
God's name, was he thinking?
When did we ever know what he was thinking? He just called for a stiff drink.
I'll join you.
They go to the kitchen.
I think it's time to renew my friendship with Mr. Jack Daniels.
Kinda early, isn't it?
My house, my rules.
Cynthia gets out the bottles and pours.
Dad always liked a little strange.
Pardon me?
Colored women. He loved colored women. He used to go on and on about Serena Williams.
I don't see
It's
what...
plain as the nose on your face. This she woman was doing the download with Dad. This is payback.
Dad was a decent man.
He was a man. He was a little captain just like every other man. This girl had him pussy whipped to the point of giving her money? Yeah, there's a word for that.
I wish you wouldn't talk about Dad that way.
You got him on cloud nine. The famous Paul Morningside, PhD, on his Ivy pedestal. Well, for me, he fell off a long time ago.
Oh, enough.
Look, I miss him too. He raised me when me and my stepmom were dirt poor. He was a good provider, and he's done pretty well by us, even though both of you turned out snowflakes. Andy, he was just a man, you know, feet of clay. Men are weak. I mean, yes, I'm surprised, but not completely. I mean, after Mom passed, he kind of fell apart. Maybe this black woman offered him some sort of comfort. So you have to like it, though.
I mean, you did play around. Drove Mom nuts.
Well, in her last days, she forgave him. It's good for that. More than I would have done.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Gotta be hard on
The doorbell rings. Cynthia goes to answer. At the door is Arthur Morningside.
I'm so sorry, sis. I was having this crisis and I'm over at Cedric's house.
Are you?
I'm still clean.
I guess I won't read you out this time. Come on in, I've got some Dr. Pepper in the fridge.
Thanks.
As he moves to the refrigerator, he speaks to Andrea.
We're inside number 3.
Don't be too sure of that.
Huh?
Ignore her, number 2. Crisis over?
No. Seth's a good sponsor. I'm going to a meeting this afternoon. What did I miss? I figured it was a done deal.
Cynthia motions him to the couch where she sits beside him. Andrea takes an armchair.
Not quite, yes. There's been a complication.
Oh?
The will is okay. All correct signatures and ready for Cynthia to execute. It's just...
We're all each only getting a 4th.
4? I thought
Dad
that
added someone to the will.
Without telling anyone.
we're splitting it 4 ways.
Tell him the rest.
The new person is a woman.
Okay.
A black woman.
Wow. Who is she?
A Miss Shenequia Massengill.
It's not a black name.
Stop that.
Well, what's her connection to Dad?
We don't know yet. Cindy has a half-assed idea that she and Dad were having an affair. Or that she may be our illegitimate sister.
That seems far-fetched, but from you, not surprising.
It's not me.
Let's be honest, your racial views could stand a little update.
Oh God, I call him as I see him.
Anyway, things got a little heated, and we decided to let things cool off and meet with Jane later in the week.
Yeah, you need to be there this time.
Ease up.
What do we know about her?
Too damn little. I think it's time I went a Googling.
She sits before the PC in the corner. As she's logging in,
Worried about your recovery.
I've been having using drinks lately. And I was feeling fucked up after last night's meeting. One of my best friends relapsed, and I thought, what the shit? Drove to my dealer's house.
Don't they say to avoid?
All places. Yeah. Felt all angry after the meeting, like I had knives.
What did you do?
Stopped the car, said my serenity prayer, I made my hands turn the wheel. Drove around a while, and then I called Cedric. I crashed in his place.
Hang on, honey. Number 3 is here.
I had no idea what get so hard this time around. These fucking cravings. The dead going. I wasn't there to say goodbye.
holding him to her.
How do you spell her name?
I'm not sure. Shenequia.
Say it again?
Shenequia. There's a queen.
How the hell do you spell queen?
I've heard that name before. N-E-Q, maybe U-I-A or E-A?
I'll try both. The last name Massengill, that I know.
Type in Raleigh.
Thanks, I've never used a search engine before.
Sorry.
Bingo! Lives in Durham.
With Jameson.
I'm on LinkedIn. Last employed at Paxton Pharmaceuticals. Going to Paxton, who we are. Here's her bio. 2 kids, boy and girl. Involved with clinical trials for new medications for rare diseases.
Maybe that's how she knew Dad. Wilson's disease.
Her last day with Paxton is December 2019. Not much to go on. That's a little odd. You know, Tony's brother-in-law, Walter, used to be a detective. Maybe he was super around.
I don't believe this. I mean, Dad must have had a good idea for choosing her. I'll get judge a character.
Yeah, but he was slipping. Those last few weeks in the hospital, he wasn't himself. Mixing up the doctor's names, getting his days wrong.
Pulled out Alzheimer's.
Yeah, but those drugs he was on, they could have affected him. The last time I saw him, he was at home. He asked me to get him a cup of coffee from the kitchen. Sometimes I had to remind him who I was. Day of the week.
One night, thought I was Mom. He asked me to marry him. He was so eloquent. And then, you are my guiding star. May fortune smile on me. Grant me the joy of being your husband. He looked like he was 20 years old.
Flowery way of talking.
Yeah. The other days he was lucid, remembering his students from 30 years ago, keeping up with the news, cracking up politics. He was still dad. Flirting with the nurses.
I was there once when a male nurse came in. He was so
Something poured out of him when Mom went. So used to having a woman around to take care of him.
Well, so now he's made this crazy decision and we're left to pick up the pieces.
That sounds like a resentment.
Well, I mean, how do you expect me to react? I woke up this morning thinking we had our ducks in a row, and now that there's this stranger we have to deal with. It's not like life's gonna walk in the park for me, scraping paycheck to paycheck and Tony being shit about alimony. Yeah, I could use one of those program slogans you're always saying.
All I have is this.
He moves to her for a hug, but Cynthia pushes him away.
Save it for someone who needs it.
Cindy!
But can't you leave me alone in my misery? It's just a little damn privacy.
Arthur steps away, angry.
This is not the time to push us away. I feel like a bomb fell in the house.
I'm sorry. You know I don't mean it. It's crazy grief. Look, if you want to help, really help, Dad left me some documents before I went into the hospital, and I could use a hand sorting them out. It's kind of a mess. I was planning to get it the day after tomorrow.
I can do that.
I think the halfway house manager would let me.
And since Richard left, I've been on my own a lot. I'm using his trash.
We could come by, say, 7, and have some pizza.
You get tomato sauce on the stock certificates and your ass is grass.
I'll be careful.
Deal.
Deal. Well, I better get going. I've got a ton of work to catch up on tonight. This remote working ain't all it's cracked up to be.
Could you give me a lift? I need to make the 5:30 meeting. It's only about 5 minutes away.
In person? Would you say?
They require your vaccination card. I'm good.
I can take it.
Thanks. I need to bend your ear a little more, though.
You be okay?
Y'all good to go. More than well for me. My house.
Your rules. Just give us a moment, okay? I think Artie needs to talk, and I like to focus on my brother.
Talk it out. The kitchen won't clean itself, and my laundry ain't self-folding.
She goes in the kitchen, opens cabinets, rearranges, etc. Andrea motions Arthur to sit beside her on the couch. He's a little hesitant to do this.
How are you doing? Really? I'm seeing something in your eyes I haven't seen before.
Is that obvious?
You may. Your arm would be falling off and you'd say, I'm just fine.
My arm? Still attached.
Look, I can't make you talk, and I'm no expert at 12 steps, but I'm pretty sure that bottling up secrets is a bad idea.
You sound like my sponsor.
You were gone all night. I called the halfway house and you weren't there. They're worried about you.
I feel like my whole life is a circus. And I'm on the trapeze.
Hello?
I've been hanging on to this one swing. I know I have to let go, grab the next one, it's flying toward me, but if I let go, There's nothing in the air beneath me. Everyone tells me I have to let go and grab it, but that in the air feeling, it makes me crazy. And the ground is a long way down.
I'm guessing that first swing is getting high.
Yeah. New one's staying clean. If I grab for the new one, I'm afraid I'll lose my grip and spiral down into the, I don't know what, nothingness. Some kind of terror I can't handle, I can't name. Just what's going to hurt me bad.
I think I can relate a little.
You don't use, at least not much.
Off stage.
Lot of laundry in here.
Thanks for the updates. My marriage to Richard. We're no good for each other anymore. And I want out. But I'm not sure what life without him will be like. What shape will it take? How I'll manage? All my friends say file the papers, but there's no going back from that. In a strange way, Dad's passing just means something else to think about.
You can't live that way forever. Twixt and
And neither can you. You know, I did go to an open meeting once, just to see what it was like. Someone said, if you want, we have, do what we do.
recovery is my responsibility.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. How long you stay in midair, it's up to you.
Yeah.
But remember, we have a stake in this too. Cynthia doesn't like to admit it. But she's scared shitless right now. Mom's passing got her more than she's letting on, and then Dad's mood changes. This whole thing with this new woman. I have no idea how it's going to shake out. It's going to get pretty bad before it gets better.
No.
The fact that she's black.
Does that make a difference to you?
It shouldn't.
But
I don't know what to think. I thought, I was beyond that mentality. But she'll sort of be family. Can't not notice her being black.
no,
But if she turns out to be a good person,
it's going to be an ugly scene when she meets with us again. You know me, I don't like it when people fight. It makes me tighten up like when I was a kid.
we'll have to manage.
Do you think Shenequia should have the money?
I don't know. I mean, we have no idea what she's like. You?
I'm not bothered by it. I mean, maybe I should be, but I think Dad must have had a good reason. As far as the money goes, even a smaller piece of the pie looks pretty big to me.
I can see that. Well, we better get going. You need to hang around with your clean pals.
I've gotten used to people telling me what I ought to do.
I didn't mean it that way.
I love you, number 3.
You're my favorite number 2.
You're only number 2.
That weird look in your eyes, it's gone. Come on.
Leave the car.
He exits.
You can stop being this down. There's only so many ways you can fold sheets, you know. So you gonna be okay?
I think so. At least for the moment. How about you?
Fine. I'll tough it out.
Takes a toll.
I can pay. How's your rat bastard husband? Not that I have anything.
Like that old song. Save
do a lot better. You got it tonight. Show a little tit. Take home some guy with one thing on his mind.
Words to live by.
Love you.
See you Thursday. Back at ya.
She exits. Cynthia takes her beer, sits in front of the TV, pops the can, and turns on a reality show.
Just in time.
Sound effects, music blares. Randy, Raquel, Caitlin, Amanda, they're all the skanky housewives of Montana. Today, who's gonna pick up my dirty laundry?
You read my mind.
She watches a bit, then takes out her phone.
Hey, Walter? Sydney. Hey, yeah, I'm glad I got you. I'm cashing in that favor you owe me. Listen, it's time you came out of retirement. I want you to dig up some dirt on something.
Scene 2, Cynthia's apartment 2 days later. Boxes are opened on the tables and the floor. Stacks of paper on the couch and the bar and any other surface. A pizza box with crusts left. Arthur is in the kitchen, pouring a soda. His jacket and backpack are in a corner. Cynthia and Andrea are going back and forth, examining documents.
Here's another garage bill for the Corvette. Paid through the nose for that thing. Then he wrecked it. Toss.
Putting it in the wastebasket, then finding another sheet.
Looks like a letter from one of his students.
Were you ever a student?
Of course not.
Toss.
You are so sentimental.
Look, we know he was smart. Pick. Artie, I'm empty. Bring me a beer. Don't trigger him.
It's okay, number 3. Beer was not my thing. Back and forth.
He opens the fridge and brings a beer to Cynthia, who takes a long swallow of it.
You drink like a frat boy.
You're just jealous because you can't hold your booze.
She retrieves another document.
Dad's second grade report card. Straight A's.
Keep.
Cynthia puts it in a separate stack. Andrea's phone chirps. She looks at it and appears worried. Arthur sits on the edge of the couch with his soda.
Be easy with the liquids, partner.
The stain will blend right into this couch.
Guys?
Yeah?
I need to let you know something. I sort of invited someone over.
My house.
We're gonna have to deal with this sometime.
The doorbell rings. Arthur and Cynthia look at each other. Andrea answers the door. Shenequia is waiting, dressed very nicely, and carrying a package.
May I come in?
Andrea.
Look! You can't act like she doesn't exist. What will it hurt to get to know her?
This room is full of Dad's stuff.
If it's
Dad's private stuff.
If it's a bad time,
Of all people.
Turning her back, she takes a drink.
All right, let her in. For a while.
This is no time to go hard at this.
Well, don't tell me what to do. Do come in, Miss
Massengill. It's okay, a lot of people said that. Well, everyone here is fully vaxxed. I assume I am.
We wouldn't let you in otherwise.
We've all tested negative.
why don't we clear some space and sit down? Can I get you something, Miss Massengill?
I'm fine, thanks. And please call me Shenequia, since we're sort of connected.
Right.
Arthur starts gathering papers and moving boxes. After a moment, Cynthia helps.
Well, there's the chips in the kitchen.
Thanks.
She grabs a bag of chips, finds a bowl, and places it on the coffee table. The others wait with varying degrees of nervousness. Shenequia sets her package on the table. Cynthia eyes it suspiciously.
You have a very nice place.
I do all right with what I have.
Where do you work?
Downtown hospital. Sanitation and maintenance.
COVID's hit you folks hard.
It's rough. We're in a lull now, thank God, but I keep hearing about a new variant.
So far, I've been lucky.
It's strange times. I'm doing most of my meetings on Zoom.
Meetings?
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I'm in the program.
I hope it works out for you.
Off and on.
A shame to not coming back. I brought you all something. Not exactly a housewarming gift, but maybe a calling card.
You didn't have to.
It seems the gracious thing to do since we're all going to get to know each other.
No reaction from Cynthia. Shenequia takes out a bottle of wine and presents it to her.
Andrea's the wine person around here, but thank you.
It's a good one. Shall we?
You okay with that?
I have my Dr. Pepper to entertain me.
Well, since you're closest to the kitchen,
Andrea takes the bottle to the kitchen, opens it, pours into a glass.
You want some?
I don't drink. Got a lot of papers to deal with.
Dad was pretty unorganized in his last years, as you know.
Are you asking, was I with him in his last days?
Andrea brings her glass with her and sits.
No point in beating around the bush, is there?
How did you know him?
I was one of his nurses at Arlington General, Virginia.
But now you're in Durham.
Not in a hospital setting. The 12-hour shifts got me, and I want more time with my kids. I'm a home health aide now.
He's lousy.
I manage.
How do your kids like it?
They don't. They want more time with me.
Demetrius and Tamika, ages 5 and 2.
Ah, you looked me up.
Of course. I assume you looked us up.
I didn't need to. Paul told me so much about each of you. He described you as a pit bull.
I'm fierce when cornered.
Are you feeling cornered now?
Let's leave my feelings alone for a little while.
I don't like the way this is going. Can't we have a few tension-free moments and just talk?
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, I'm a native, born in Kinston, moved all around the country since then. Military brat, but mostly in the South.
Your bio also said you were with a drug company.
I was at Paxton, yes, as needed for criminal trials. I'm still a little surprised you vetted me.
Knowledge is power. There's a lot at stake.
Go on, Shenequia. Did I get it right?
Yes, thank you. A lot of people miss it.
There's a lot of on your plate.
Well, their father doesn't really figure in their lives. Like all moms are worried, how they'll be treated in school, can they afford college, that sort of thing.
Do you have any siblings?
I'm the only child. I have to carry the banner for family. Truth be told, it weighs on me, but I rely on the good Lord for strength.
Without a power greater than myself, I'd be lost.
Have I seen you somewhere?
Maybe.
Not me. I rely on myself. It's easier that way.
What was your first impression of Dad?
He struck me as a bit of a mystery. Easy to like and generally good patient, but I was never quite sure where he was coming from.
Dad always marched with his own brother.
Whether we liked it or not.
Ari, please. Let's focus on Shenequia.
I'm just being honest.
Sounds like you have mixed feelings about your father.
Look, I don't know how well you knew him, but he was an impulsive man. Things drove him that none of us understood. He would suddenly go off on these long weekends without any explanation and act like nothing had happened.
Yeah, caused a lot of fights with Mom. And me.
Whenever he talked about your mother, there'd be this sad look in his eyes. He really loved her.
She was the salt to his pepper. Never complained.
So he's not in front of us. So, when did you find out about the will?
Miss Archer called me last week. Needless to say, I was stunned.
And now?
I'm still sorting it out. On the one hand, I feel honored. On the other, well, life is sure full of surprises.
It's unanimous.
So, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit more about your relationship with Dad.
Bear in mind, you're under no obligation to say what is private.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll be as open as possible. I developed a kinship with your father. Despite the differences in our backgrounds, we had a lot in common. We were both born in Kingston. In fact, we figured we lived at the opposite ends of the same street. We were both Baptists.
Not the same church, I imagine.
No. Anyway, we found out our lives had been remarkably similar, even allowing for the color difference.
Shenequia, just in case you're worried about being the only black person in the room, I can't speak for the others, but when I look at you, I don't see color. I only see face.
See,
We, or at least Andy and I, are very progressive. We deplore the racism you must encounter every day.
Do you really know that much about what I encounter?
I'd like to think so. Honestly, it pains me a little to hear that.
I'm just being straight with you, since that's what you're asking of me.
This talk of things in common, is it leading somewhere? And were you and Dad just buddies? Doesn't seem like enough to be included in his will.
Paul and I had what you might call a relationship.
Right on the first step.
It wasn't what you're thinking. In his condition, it couldn't have been anything but an emotional connection.
Cynthia gets up, takes her beer, goes to the kitchen, and stands with her back turned, muttering to herself. She takes out the bottle of Jack Daniels, pours a glass, and drains it, repeats.
So, you and he were...
Together. We were together. We cared about each other. We saw the world with the same eyes, dreamed the same dreams. Look, I'm not defending this. It's a big world and people are complicated. Things happen without our knowing why.
Do you know why?
I never asked why. I live by what's in front of me.
I have a feeling we're not getting the whole truth.
And nothing but the truth? I'm not in court.
Not yet.
Which of us really knows the whole truth? That's godly sight, not ours.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves here.
Can we just get a grip?
This is a hard territory, I understand.
I hope you do. I hope you understand that I'm trying to give you a chance. I'm part pit bull, but I want to be fair about this, so just tell me what went on.
I think what we're all wondering is if Dad was in his right mind when he was around you.
There's no simple answer to that. The doctors on his team were the best in the South, but Wilson's disease is generally found in younger people. There was necessarily some speculation involved in diagnosis and treatments.
I Googled it. There are some psychological effects, right?
Yes, and some neurological ones. Tremors, difficulty articulating his words. There were times when I had to work to understand him, but his mind generally seemed focused. You have to remember, some of the sedatives he was on made him confused.
That happened with us too, but I always sensed he knew himself. I hope.
There have been cases of Wilson's patients being mistakenly diagnosed with depression or even schizophrenia. So it's a very complicated picture.
So in your medical opinion,
Go with what his doctor said. I don't have their training.
But you saw him regularly.
Enough to get to know him. I think he was mostly in his right mind, but like I said, we talked mainly about family, things he knew well. As far as his plans went, I just assumed you would all share the estate equally.
but he loved you.
Yes.
Then how come he never mentioned you? So you're just showing up out of nowhere with your hand out.
Cindy, don't you think he would have been embarrassed? It would have embarrassed him to say that he was in love with a nurse half of his age? I'm certain he wondered what you'd think.
Men his age do strange things. Maybe out of gratitude, he offered you something.
Look, I'm only going on what he said. I don't assign motives to people, unlike some.
If that's a shot at me, I can take it.
So can I.
Oh, for God's sake.
Dad wasn't a monk. He's done some pretty questionable things next to a woman. To get next to a woman.
Did you ever talk about money?
I've already told you what we talked about.
How are you getting by on a home health aides pay?
How do you get by on yours? What made you judge and jury?
It's my job to ask questions. The estate is my ball to carry.
But not yours to decide.
Listen, lady, I was firstborn. I took care of these two when they were still shitting their pants. I helped raise them when Dad wasn't around. When they got pushed around at school, I'm the one who put a stop to it. So yeah, I'm a pit bull.
my resources. He didn't ask for my financial statement, but I think he took me at my word.
I don't like your attitude.
Could it be because I'm not being deferential the way black folks ought to be?
Christ!
There's a word on my tongue I'm not gonna say.
I make my own place in this world. Your only problem is you don't like it.
What don't I like? After you say that the truth is up to some guy in the sky, after taking 2 or 3 tries to get an answer out of you, what I don't like, our family has a name. There have been Morningsides in these parts for 6 generations. People know us as decent people who stand by their word without watering it down.
Massengill is a respected name too. And we also swear by our decency, and believe me, we were brought over here a long time before you.
Oh, don't pin that on me. All this talk of history. Here's what's right in front of me. A conniving bitch with dollar signs in her eyes.
God damn it, Cindy, lay off. I never suggested he change the will, but since he did, I want in.
Sell it to someone else. From the moment I laid eyes on you, I knew you were in trouble. I've seen a lot in this world and I have a pretty sharp eye for bullshit.
Turning this into a position.
How do you think Dad would feel if he saw
He'd
this?
be damn glad we were defending the family honor.
I care about your father. I felt close to you because of all the stories he told me. About you, Andrea, when you were a little girl and how you shared your dollies with all the neighbors. And Arthur, who played in the school band and was a star quarterback. And you, Cynthia, especially you. How happy he was when he first laid eyes on you. Paul was real to me. I know you don't like me. And I know if I was white, it would make a difference.
We don't care about that, Shenequia. We're not like her.
You need to back off and stay backed off. I am pissed at anyone trying to nose their way into our good graces, even if they have scales and purple hair.
Stop! Just stop! This isn't solving anything. Dad made a choice and we have to live with it.
Says you.
Will you just listen? In the program, we talk about living life on life's terms, acceptance, letting things happen the way they're meant to, kindness. You should try it sometime. God knows I'm trying to. I don't like a damn bit of this. It is fucking with my serenity.
What should I just accept, Arthur? Doesn't any of this worry you? You have a stake in this too, and you're just sitting on your ass. Same goes for you.
I have an open mind. If you can't handle that, then tough shit.
Don't you throw that at me. You think I'm some 4-year-old with shitty britches. I'm no paragon of virtue. And yes, I bounce in and out of recovery, but I have a mind and I have a heart. Why don't you all start acting like I have feelings? Why don't you leave me alone?
He strides angrily to retrieve his jacket and his backpack.
Act like I don't exist.
That's not true. I'm sorry, Artie. I didn't mean to get you upset.
Where are you going?
Anywhere not here.
Are you going to go get high?
He opens the door, strides out, slams it shut. The others all look at each other in fear and confusion. End Act 1. There will be a 10-minute intermission. 2, Scene 1. Cynthia's apartment 2 weeks later. Sound of voices and laughter outside and packages being dropped. The door opens and in comes Andrea, followed by Cynthia. Both are in high spirits after some retail therapy.
Woo-wee! Nothing like burning holes in your plastic to lift your spirits.
Amen.
It's good to do our bit for the local economy.
Girl time.
Yay!
Cynthia puts her packages on the kitchen table, Andrea on the couch.
This was a great idea. Get out of the house a bit.
Take our mind off things. You are gonna look so good in that outfit. Just keep batting your eyelashes with the defense attorney and you'll be cutting your nails.
Well, the trial will be on Zoom. I'm not sure my eyelashes will show. And what if the attorney's a sheep?
Now you just have to take your chances. Scooch your boobies up, just in case.
They're funny. I tell you though, every time I'm out and about, I keep looking around for Artie.
Me too, babe.
You know me by name at the police station and the hospitals.
Well, at least we know the sponsor's number.
Cynthia goes to the kitchen, gets a bottle, pours 2 glasses as Andrea sits in the chair by the couch.
I have drunk more in these past 3 months than I have in 2 years.
Welcome to my world.
We're overdoing it, aren't we?
Some people can go through what we've gone through without touching a drop. And that ain't me.
Now I wake up in the middle of the night wanting to call him, and then I realize I have a stone.
We're pretty damn pitiful, aren't we?
Jane's worried about us.
I'm worried about us.
With all that's going on, is it worth the stress of taking this to court?
It's our money.
I mean, even if it's split 4 ways instead of 3.
Well, that still may not be enough.
Leaves a lot.
It might not be enough for me. I've been landing hand to mouth since high school. And at 43, it's a little pie in the sky to build a nest egg. I have no health insurance. And a serious disease could wipe me out. I need as big a cushion as possible.
I'd help you out.
I know you would, and vice versa. But Wilson's disease is hereditary. Any one of us could end up in the hospital like Dad.
Still, it was Dad's money to use as he saw fit.
That woman ruined his soft fit. The lawyers call it undue influence.
When have we known Dad to be unduly influenced by anything?
She had her hooks into him when he was weak.
I think it's sad that we have to prove our father was weak in order to get our share. I mean, I hate having our name in court. What Papa and Grandma would have thought.
They would have wanted us to get what's rightfully ours.
Look, what about what's rightfully hers?
That is not my problem.
Whose is it?
Oh God, I know what you're gonna say. It's society's fault. He lives. They're always big on everything being the fault of other people.
That is an oversimplification.
Oversimplify my ass. It is very simple. You work hard, you get rewarded. You don't rely on the government to pat you on the head and say, here's your jack, it'll all be better now.
Shenequia might tell a different story.
I'm not saying good people haven't had it bad, but things are better now.
Ask the kids who were shot in the street.
Oh, come on, I am as sorry about that as you are.
It's not a question about being sorry.
You were too young to remember how it was with Dad.
I've heard this before. I was born into poverty. I was having struggles with BU and Diane, and Winnie was in grad school, and blah, blah, blah.
Nice, Andy.
Look, I know you had it tough.
Okay, did you ever stop to think about how it felt being poor? And what it was like going to school with last year's clothes and a cheap backpack? How you got teased by white kids and black kids? Shame you felt when teachers slept for $5 so you could have a little spending money. And you live there's such a big deal about being open-minded. Well, open your mind to that.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to belittle you.
Well, you won't bring that back now. You know, it wasn't all bad back then. One day, Dad came home with this big smile on his face. I knew I'd never see it again. I've got a present for the best little girl in the world, he'd say.
crazy thought.
Will it be the first time?
What if we imitated Dad?
Imitated Dad?
I mean, he was generous with you. Why not emulate his generosity?
And?
But Lyndon and Will stand.
No.
Drop the cake.
No.
Think about it.
I just did. The answer's still no. There's no comparison.
Isn't there? I mean, it's the same man, the same fine man we both love.
Apples and oranges. It was a long time ago.
I think Artie would tell you the same thing.
That's not fair.
How much are we paying legal fees?
Jane is on contingency. If we win, her fee will come out of our shares equally. And I know she's writing off a lot of her time.
What does she think of Shenequia?
I don't know. But she's old school. She doesn't like the idea of someone horning in on the family wealth. I think it really bothered her that Dad made the change without telling her why.
Dad has never wanted to ask permission,
It all goes back to his state of mind.
which we can't know in full. But remember how he lived. I mean, he was on black people's side. He stood for equality, justice. It earned him some enemies. But he stuck with his convictions.
It may not seem like it, but so am I.
We've been at each other's throats a lot, haven't we?
Whose fault is that?
Can't pin everything on her. I mean, she feels entitled.
Maybe those people feel entitled.
Do you ever listen to yourself?
She's the one who brought up race.
Oh, come on.
Remember that comment she made about how her family was brought over here? But you can't tell me that she doesn't want us feeling guilty and soft. People have been doing that for years.
These people.
Oh, come on. I heard you say it.
Yeah, and I feel bad every time.
Well, that's the problem. White people can't just be themselves anymore.
There's a place for softness in this world.
Not now.
Her people have suffered for 400 years.
Well, it wasn't my idea. And anyway, slavery is dead. There's equal opportunity. For God's sake, we had a black president. You can't tell me there hasn't been progress.
Attention must be paid.
What?
Attention must be paid.
Yeah, I heard you the first time.
When I was in high school, we read Death of the Salesman. Arthur Miller. The main character worked hard all of his life, and then he died. His widow said, attention must be paid.
Whatever.
Pay attention to her.
I already have. She's a money grubber. Case closed.
Dad, consider her family.
I don't.
I get the feeling I've hit brick walls.
She's an interloper. All we know about her is what she's told us.
I mean, the day you found out, you said you should hire an investigator.
Yeah, I changed my mind. We have enough third parties as it is.
I'm glad you decided not to. Somewhere along the line, trust has to enter.
Have you heard anything from that crummy ex of yours?
He is not my ex. Technically, they're still married.
Turd ball. What?
What word you use to describe him? Turd-ball. Shit for brains. Dick finger.
Hey, I'm just warming up.
You are...
I've raised pits. They are quite sweet if you raise them right. But your man, I don't know, he's taking pieces out of you. He needs payback. When Jane gets into this Shenequia week, well, whatever, I'll stick him on Richard.
I don't want to be confrontational.
Andy, I love you more than anything, but you are too soft. If you don't look after yourself, life will chew you up and spit out the pieces.
Always needs to go.
Dad wasn't always too good at that. I had to take up the slack.
Sometimes at night, when I'm really tired, sick of things, my anger pops out. I toss and turn and face me, wears me down until I scream.
What would that scream sound like?
I don't want to say. It's too ugly.
Come on, screams kept inside will surely fuck you up. Like, just let it out. Not a real scream. Tell me what's going on.
No, I can't.
Just
So no, I can't.
Just let it go.
I don't want to.
It's really blunt. You just let it go.
Why the hell do this with me? Why did he go behind our backs?
There's new women in our lives. We're all hurting.
Don't you give a shit what we're going through? You say you love us. You do this, I don't know, act of depression? One last chance. One last chance. Fuck you, bro. Damn it. God damn it, all to hell and back.
She collapses into Cynthia's waiting arms and sobs.
You're a good girl, sweetie. We're all having a hard time. I'm your guardian angel, and I will not let anything bad happen to you. You just let Big Cindy look after you. Good. We lost our daddy, sweetheart, and it can't help but hurt. The world is not the same without you, but we have to be strong. Carry on the family name. Wave it with a proud banner. I miss you too, sweetie, every day and every night. And sometimes people do things we don't understand and cry and cry. Daddy loved us very much, but sometimes people don't know the right way to do that. I miss him too. God, all the silly stories he used to make up to tell us. Those funny voices, the animal faces and the noises. Roar! The tiger. A great big scary tiger, but you know what? What? Daddy ate me a tiger. One night that mean old tiger came after us and blam! I got him right between the eyes.
Andrea laughs and sits up, wiping her tears.
You have a twisted mind.
I'm the twisted sister, all right?
I am damn glad.
They laugh and hug and rock each other around. Slow fade to black. Scene 2. A hospital room in Arlington, Virginia, September 2018. Morning light streams in. Paul Morningside is lying in bed looking at the TV. He flicks the remote.
As usual, nothing but crap. Game shows from the 70s. Soccer. A commercial for some expensive new drug. A commercial for an expensive new drug. Another commercial for an even more expensive new drug.
Shenequia enters, dressed in nursing attire.
Good morning. You must be Mr. Morningside?
Oh? Well, no, I must be Mr. Lucky.
Mr. Lucky?
Because you're the prettiest girl I've seen in a long time.
They said you were a flatterer.
It's an honest assessment.
She looks at his chart.
How are you feeling today, aside from Lucky?
I'm in the hospital. How should I feel?
How's your energy today?
I feel more tired than yesterday. My stomach hurts like hell. And they're looking at a liver transplant. Considering I could die, I can't say I'm surprised.
Well, let's consider the possibility that you get a diagnosis in time for the treatment to work.
I don't think the doctors know what to do with me. They keep telling me I'm an outlier. Shit, that's been true my whole life. What's your name?
Shenequia.
Shenequia. I like it.
You got it right. That's a good sign. I think I'm gonna like you.
Lighting transition to next scene. Scene 3, same location at night, October. Paul is in bed. Shenequia is giving him a sponge bath.
My first wife.
Adele?
No, Dana, Diane. We took turns bathing our firstborn.
Cynthia.
Is that her name?
You showed me her picture. Pretty girl.
Cynthia. When she was little, we could bathe her in the kitchen sink.
And dishwasher detergent.
No, in soap and water.
My little girl peed when I did that.
Your little girl.
Tanika.
I thought her name was Sandy.
You're thinking of Nurse Sandy.
You're not Sandy.
I'm Shenequia.
The black one.
Yes.
The one I love.
Shenequia stops and brings out her rag.
We all need someone to love.
Do you love me?
We all need someone to love.
I'm asking.
Shenequia wipes his forehead with a towel, looks at him for a moment, then bends down and kisses his forehead.
I can help you.
Blackout. Scene 4, same time the next night. Paul is seated. Shenequia is preparing his meds.
I don't remember much of last night.
You were drifting in and out.
I remember the word love.
We talked about it. How much you love Cynthia.
Yes. You're so good to me.
Well, I'm supposed to be.
Above and beyond the call of duty.
I'm drawn to you.
Does that bother you?
Some, yes. Nurses and patients aren't supposed to fraternize.
Such a cold word.
I think about you a lot at home. And when I leave you, I feel lighter.
That's ironic, considering I have a heavy disease.
Your spirit is alive, Paul. I've never met anyone like you. You're smart, but you don't flaunt it. You're literate, but you're not snobbish about it.
I'm not that smart. I made a whole lot of mistakes. My kids, kept them at a distance. Adele, what I did for her.
I believe God forgives.
That would be nice.
It's how I get by every day.
But you don't put on those Christian airs, holier than thou.
I am what I am.
Offering him a pill and a drink.
Okay, take this one. Lots of water now.
That one's a toughie.
It's the biggest one.
That's quite an assortment you have.
One at a time. Here's number 2.
I've been wondering something. I've been around black people all my life, personally and professionally, and I consider myself an ally, but I really wonder what it's like to be inside you folks' skin, to live among us white people.
There's no easy answer to that. Here, take this one.
He takes the pill.
I just want to understand.
We're not all alike, you know?
Please, forgive me if I'm stereotyping you.
I'm used to it. All I can say is my own experience. Sometimes I feel like I have to split myself in two. When I'm with white people, I have to be a certain way, and when I'm with my people, I feel like I'm more like myself. Like, no one's looking at me, making judgments. We're always aware of being a standing out black person in a sea of white faces. We're never quite sure what will happen if we go off script.
I experience that in a small way. When I'm teaching, I have a certain persona, and when I'm with family and friends, another. Is it like that for you?
A little, but it goes deeper. When you go to the store, no one notices you because you're a professor. When you're in a room full of white people, you're never aware that you're a white person. You never have to ask yourself, how do I, as a representative of my race, have to act? Here's another.
She gives him another pill.
You're like goldfish. You don't know what water is because water is all you know. You are water. And you don't realize it unless you have some jarring experience that wakes you up.
This goes on all the time.
Mm-hmm. White is the standard by which black is measured. There's been some progress over the years. My grandparents told me stories about the civil rights years ago, and it beats with sugar. But by and large, it's still a white world. And all over the world, not just here.
It's tragic.
That's history.
I've tried in my own way to respect everyone.
Well, you're willing to listen. And that's the best place to start.
I wish more of my people would try.
Dr. King said the arc of history bends towards justice. I believe that's so, even though the signs aren't good now.
Do you think it'll ever get better?
When someone's wounded and bleeding, you have to wash away the blood to expose the wound and treat it. I think what's going on now, the killings, the hate groups, is the washing of the blood from our nation's soul.
We have a long way to go.
But we have to try.
I hope I get out of here to do my part.
Well, if you don't take this last pill, you might not. So drink up.
Lighting transition to next scene. Scene 5, transition to daylight afternoon. Shenequia is reading his vitals.
It's really getting cold out there. 2019 is going to be a hard winter.
All I see out the window is the parking deck, which is pretty low in entertainment value.
If it weren't for me and TV, you'd have no entertainment at all.
He takes her free hand and kisses it. She nuzzles his balding hair.
There's not much to play with, is there?
I would do. Open up.
She inserts a digital thermometer in his mouth.
You're so impatient. Vitals first, conversation second.
The thermometer beeps and she pulls it out.
I was saying, you're the prettiest woman on the floor.
Tonight you'll say the same thing to Maria, and tomorrow morning Gina. That looks good. 99.7.
Well, yeah, but with you, I knew. The first time you walked in, I thought, oh my, there's a woman to write home about.
No one writes letters anymore.
She takes out the dose oximeter and places it on his forefinger.
I can stop with the flattery.
Shenequia looks around, kisses his lips.
Don't you dare.
I love you, dear. But maybe we should go easy on the lips. My body can't cash the checks I'd like to write.
Sorry. You look so much like Paul Newman. It's hard for a girl not to resist.
Oh, now who's flirting?
It keeps things green.
I didn't feel so green last night. That pain in my liver was back, and I felt a lot older than 73.
Does it hurt now?
Well, it's a little better. I keep having these dreams. People were coming, going in and out of the room. Only the room kept changing. Some of them wore masks and pointed at me and laughed.
It's just a dream, baby.
Oh, Shenequia, people used to tell me I looked young for my age, but now I feel it. Drinks like that make me feel like everything's slipping away. I'm becoming a burden to others. I thought I had another couple of decades left. Now I wonder about everything.
I'm here.
Are you sure? Are you sure you shouldn't find a man your own age to take up with? Someone with a future?
I don't believe in the future. Just the now happening over and over and over. The future's always on the way, but never arriving.
Shenequia removes the oximeter and takes his wrist for the pulse.
When I met my ex, I thought I had found the future. There'd be him and me and 3 kids and a dog, and we'd live forever happy. Then life happened. And Demetrius and Tamika happened. My man got swayed to this other flotsam and jetsam who promised him a lot of responsibility-free sex, and that was that. Along the way, I stopped living in the what's gonna happen and started living in the what's in front of me. Easier that way.
Am I really worth all the fuss?
Is the sky really that blue?
You could snap your fingers and a fine man would come running.
I want someone who wouldn't come running on the first snap.
Oh, I guess I can live with that.
A little quiet as they look at each other and smile.
Aren't you needed elsewhere?
The other girls know the situation and cover for me when they can. The floor is nearly empty today. I've got my ear out.
What do they think?
Some disapprove. Others think people should be happy.
I don't deserve you.
Tough shit. You got me. I feel like telling them. I mean, if you can name me one commandment I'm breaking, I'll stop.
Well, we're all Simmons, aren't we?
I'm okay. I've been watching the blood. Gotta go on break soon. Call the kids.
Before you go, I want you to have something.
You don't have to shower me with this.
I want to.
He reaches on the other side of the bed and pulls out a small object wrapped in toilet paper.
Brackets not much. Close your eyes.
How can I do my clinical observations with my eyes closed?
Just for a moment.
They're shut.
He takes out a small music box, the kind you buy as a souvenir. He winds the tiny handle. Out comes "You Are My Sunshine." He puts it in her hand. She opens her eyes.
Oh, it's lovely.
I gave it to Cynthia when she was a child. She lost it, but it turned up years later in some boxes we were moving. She and I weren't seeing eye to eye back then, so I kept it. I forgot about it. So Andrea brought some souvenirs over the other day.
I love that song.
She holds it close to her ear and listens.
But I feel bad taking it from your little girl's memories.
Life is in the giving. You've given me an extended life. It's a fair trade.
She hugs him gently.
Never mention that. Thank you.
Show it to Demetrius. I think he'll like it.
He'll love it because it's from you.
He is a good little fella.
He has his moments. Yesterday he was acting like his father, bossing Tamiko around.
I'll take care of you and your kids when my time comes.
You don't have to do that. I'm fine on my own.
Kids on the autism spectrum need a lot of extra care. And you keep telling me how bright Tamika is. She needs a nest egg for college.
We aren't destitute.
By the time she's college age, who knows how high tuition will be. You'll be taken care of.
You have 3 kids with their own needs. It's not my place to stand in the way.
I'm not destitute either. There's plenty to go around.
Easy. Think how they react.
I raised them to think for themselves.
Talk.
Lie. Exploit.
She starts talking, hunching over. She turns to him, and she tries to brush her off, but lacks the strength.
You are getting too stressed. We'll talk about it later.
My mind's made up.
Lie back. Nurse's orders.
He lies down neatly.
I'll tell the kids you said hello. Get some rest.
She winds the toy, lets it play, smiles broadly. She bends over, kisses his brow, and exits.
The life you give me.
End scene. Scene 6. Cynthia's apartment, the day after Act 2. Scene 2. Pizza dinner after a day in a courtroom. Andrea has already taken a slice. Cynthia takes some bread from the kitchen.
This is left over from last night, but it's garlic bread and worth the keeping.
Oh, eating is a great idea. After having to be in that virtual courtroom for hours, no privacy is a godsend. Who would think that sitting here talking into a camera would be so exhausting?
Just wish Artie was here.
He may not have known about the dates.
He's gonna have a lot of explaining to do when he gets back.
If he comes back.
I am not ready for that Jean did a fine job. She stuck to the facts, asked some tough questions, and did a great summation to the jury. The part about how love can lead us in the wrong direction, it almost had me in tears. It's good, all right. But, as I see it, it's an open question as to whether there was any. She pushed her way in, plain and simple.
I found in life that nothing is plain and simple. Certainly isn't for me. I Googled undue influence online, and it's not let by cinch. For example, whether she was the one responsible for getting the will signed, clearly she wasn't. Nor was Dad under constant watch.
But look at the other side. Whether the will benefited someone not blood kin, that's her. Whether the will disinherited us,
It didn't.
no, but we're getting less. And then there's Dad's age and physical and mental condition. We're all agreed that sometimes Dad was on top of things, and sometimes he just stared out the window. I was talking to Jane, and she said it all came down to whether the jury believes that she superseded her wishes against the original will, and I think that's true.
And according to her testimony, Shenequia resisted the idea of Dad taking care of her. I don't think she wanted this to happen.
All we have is her word, and I think she's capable of lying.
Well, I don't. And I am a good judge of character.
Not a good judge of husband.
Well, I haven't heard much from your ex being into the bargain.
Advantage, Andrea.
Well, hopefully we'll hear tomorrow. I can't wait for this to be over. All this wrangling, bickering.
She'll be out of our hair forever.
Are you ready for what happens if the judge votes in her favor?
I'll cooperate. I'll have to, but I won't like it.
If Shenequia were right, would you have brought this to the next time?
That is an insult.
It's a reasonable question. You've always had it in for Black people.
I work with Black people. We get along just fine. I take people as they come. If more people were like me, the world would be a better place. I can't help it if some of them wear no shirt and have their pants hanging off their
Let's
ass.
drop it. This is going nowhere.
Okay, let me ask you this. If she weren't Black, would you feel different?
What the hell does that mean?
Well, a lot of you liberals are on some mission to drag everyone to the same level. Are you sure you aren't in favor of cutting our share as some way of making up for the past?
That's ridiculous.
I see some kind of private reparations.
I think if you've been watching too much Tucker Carlson.
Hey, I have a mind of my own. You're all in favor of helping the downtrodden, whether they want it or not. And I'm just suggesting that you have an agenda. Because there's such a thing as reverse racism, you know?
Being obnoxious is not winning you any points.
There is a knock at the door.
Are you expecting someone?
No.
She goes to the peephole.
Oh, my sweet Jesus.
She opens the door. Standing there is Arthur, carrying his backpack, wearing dirty clothes and looking very tired.
Look.
The sisters embrace him
Artie,
fervently.
Artie, it's so good to see you.
Number 2.
We're alive. I thought I'd never see you again. Come in, come in, come in.
Let me look at you.
Not much to look at, I'm afraid.
Who cares? You need the backpack. Sit down. Can I get you something? Water, aspirin.
I don't have a headache.
Cynthia goes to the fridge and grabs a Dr. Pepper. Andrea leads him to the couch. Her arms never leave him as she kisses and hugs him.
I've kept this for a special occasion.
This sure qualifies.
It's good to be here.
You need a glass?
I'm used to drinking things out of a can.
Cynthia brings him the can and sits on the couch beside him.
You look like shit warmed over.
Cindy,
Well, I'm just saying.
Living outdoors leaves you with an aroma.
you smell sweet to me.
I hate to interrupt the hearts and flowers, but where were you?
Where wasn't I as I like it? And all around the East Coast, Kentucky, Tennessee, New Jersey, mostly Virginia and Maryland. Trucker took pity on me in Roanoke Rapids and dropped me off downtown.
God.
I had to get away.
Seems silly to ask, but are you sober now?
there for you to see fucked up again. Wish you could say my conscience in here.
I'm just glad you're home.
You gonna stay?
I hope so. I need to get checked into a psych ward tomorrow, though. A lot of episodes, and I've seen some things no one should ever see.
Andrea starts crying again.
It's okay, sis. It's okay. I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah, well, I'm not taking any chances.
She goes into the bedroom and comes back with his phone, thrusts it in his hand.
Call your sponsor. Now.
I'm glad you kept it. I don't want it to know.
I'm not losing you again.
Can I have a little privacy?
No wiggling out. Call.
Cindy, maybe
I want you to pay the last for it.
Just be quiet a second, okay?
He steps to the other side of the room and turns his back.
I want to hear you.
Hello, Seth? Yeah, it's me. I'm here in Raleigh. My sister Cynthia's. She wants me to see you soon. I do too. You can come over tomorrow? 6347 Lindenwood Road, apartment C. I can't say much. They're in the same room. I'm staying here tonight? My sister said yes. Two days. Okay. Soon. Bye.
He ends the call, pockets the phone, and sits down. He sits apart from the women in a chair. Andrea goes to him, but he motions her away.
I equal space.
You did the right thing.
Fine. Well, what have I missed? Aside from 4 months of sports?
The trial started yesterday. Morningside versus Massengill.
Shenequia?
My idea. We're suing to have the amended will revoked so all the money stays in the family.
Do you agree with this?
I've been trying to talk her out of it.
You don't talk pit bulls out of anything.
No noticed.
Well, how's it going?
Jane's representing us. She's trying to convince the jury that Dad was unduly influenced because of his illness. I think she did a fine job.
It's a gray area, though. There are several criteria for undue influence, and not all of them fit. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the jury goes for Shenequia.
We'll win. What do you think?
I wasn't at trial.
So surely you have an opinion.
I've seen kids going out in the street. Girls doing blowjobs for things. An old lady died in my arms before the ambulance arrived. It's not even mentioned what I had
Oh, Artie.
compared to all that. This is nothing.
It doesn't bother you that an outsider wants to grab our wealth?
I learned that real wealth is in the heart. I tell you what bothers me. This little war in our family. My blood kids fighting each other with Dad who's cold and buried. That's what made me run away. When I see you two fight, I feel like there's a thunderstorm in my head. I feel like my rage is going to turn tornado and flatten everything in its path. I cannot do that to you. So I left. And I took it on myself.
There's no way to live.
Fighting's in my nature, little brother. I guess I don't stop to consider the world that. I'm so sorry. I wish I could undo my meanness.
I think all the Morningsides have a mean streak.
So you have all these memories of family combat. Why did you come home?
So last Thursday, late at night, I was hanging out by the river in Richmond. This was next to one street. I could barely stand up, but something told me to look up. So I did. The moon was out. It was a cloudy night. It was chilly for October. I could see the thread. I looked closely at one of the clouds. I could see this smudge of darkness, even darker than the sky, spreading out. The moon was so bright, and the cloud was so close, it was casting shadows. I've never seen that. I had this feeling I was in the presence of something greater than myself. I felt there was a reason I was seeing this. Somehow, I felt like it was meant for me. That I mattered. Suddenly my head was clear. I decided that it was time to stop running, to return to a world that had such beauty. Find the power that guided me. I said goodbye to a couple of people and asked for directions to a truck stop. I found this tough older woman who agreed to give me a lift. Irene Harrison. I guess I owe her my life. This will be both of you.
They hug each other on the couch. There is a knock at the door.
Grand Central Station.
I'll get it.
She goes to the peephole.
Oh!
Wow.
Don't keep us in suspense.
Things are about to get very interesting.
She opens the door. Shenequia stands there.
May I come in?
Yes.
Please.
Shenequia enters hesitantly. Andrea motions her to a chair.
Can I get you something to drink?
Just water's fine. Thanks. Are you alright?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Frankly, Shenequia, I don't see why you need to be here tonight. We've all had a taxing day, and I think the first thing on all of our minds is a little R&R.
I can see why you'd want that. I need my downtime too, which is not easy with the kids. They're with their mother tonight. But I feel compelled to do something that's a minefield for me.
Spit it out.
Drop the challenge. I want you to dismiss it. Drop the challenge. Allow the will to go through as amended.
All the goddamn nerve.
This is very sudden. The verdict might come out as early as tomorrow.
Arthur has failed.
Impossible.
The jury's still out.
If you think for 1 minute that you could just waltz in here and la-di-da tell me that you want to dismiss at the last minute, you are sadly mistaken. Haven't you dragged us through enough?
I want what's rightfully mine.
You're not getting it.
Let's hear her out, Cindy. If you were in her shoes.
5 minutes. Then leave.
Arthur's hands are starting to shake. Only Andrea notices this.
Paul Morningside was a good man. He wasn't perfect. His history with all of you is spotty. But he was a fine human being as true bred. His wishes should be respected.
Our wishes should be respected. In case you haven't noticed, he's gone.
Sis,
When he first started talking about writing me into the will, I declined. Said I had enough to get by on my own. I'm not a charity case. My people look after each other. We do, Cynthia. No matter what you might think.
I'm wearing out your welcome.
My girl, Tamika. My daughter. My light to the world. She's gifted. She's reading 3 grade levels above her classmates. She's doing algebra. She's only 7. The school counselor says she's never met anyone like her. In a few years, she'll be university material. They'll be beating down her doors. She has the seeds of greatness in her. I'm convinced. But you know how expensive college is. I can't carry a load like that with the inheritance I could.
There are other ways.
And Demetrius, my son. There's not an evil bone in his body. There's a purity to his being that I barely comprehend. But he's on the spectrum. He tries so very hard. We try so very hard, but he acts out. He can't help it. Help is available and he's making progress. He's a good boy, loves God, but the kind of sustained support he'll need as he gets older is beyond my care. I don't like having to come to you. I'd much rather leave you alone, but I have no choice. Let them live.
I'm very sorry to hear about your son. I see autistic kids and I wonder how they'll get by when they get older. And little Tanika sounds like quite a lady, but I have come into possession of certain information that needs to be out in the open.
This isn't time for one of your fantasies about those people.
The same day that we found out about the will, I contacted a family friend. The finder of facts, a tracer.
Are you a detective?
You lied to me.
I did what I had to do.
Dad didn't raise you like that.
Hear me out. Something wasn't adding up. Well, my finder had his work cut out for him, but Walter's nothing if not persistent. He informed me about a medication known as rumfluxicor. Now, hard to say. Rumfluxicor is being tested as a treatment for several rare diseases, among them Wilson's disease. There were clinical trials underway at the University of Arlington investigating the potential of this drug to relieve symptoms. It wasn't a cure, but it could prolong life. Would you like to take it from here?
For a while, Paul was in great pain. He could only take it so long.
Why didn't you tell us?
He didn't want you to worry. I know about the clinical trials, but I couldn't access the database. When the PAs knew someone who could hack the system and place Paul's name on the list. I turned my back for about 5 minutes, just long enough to get coffee, and he did just that. Paul responded to the drug. This was back in 2018. Rumfluxicor brought him 4 years of life.
I remember that year. He looked really bad, and then he started getting better.
And better. Well enough to return home. Well enough for him to move back here last year.
Why didn't you say this in court, instead of just about being in a relationship?
I committed an ethical violation by allowing an unauthorized person access, possibly a felony. I felt I couldn't admit that,
So
even under oath.
So you lied.
To save his life. To give all of you 4 more years with him. And I'd do it again.
You broke the rules.
Wouldn't you have done the same?
I don't waste time on hypotheticals. I deal with what's at hand. If some of them doesn't like the way that I deal with it, then I'm sorry, they just have to live with it. I will not drop the lawsuit.
I'm asking you to please reconsider. For the future of my children, my parents don't have as much to pass on to me. It's for the greater good.
One day, in school, I had been sent to the principal's office. I stole a book from a girl who teased me and I threw it on her foot. The whole class saw it and off I went to Mr. Switzer. Mr. Switzer was ex-military. Crew cut, spit polished, took crap from no one. He sat me down and he looked me in the eyes and said, "You broke the rules. You may not like it, but without the rules, we would all be dogs scrapping up over a bone. Rules are the basis of a civilization. A civilization that doesn't follow the rules will eventually die, kind of like how ours is right now." I came out of that office believing in the rules. If the rules said no, that was it. Ever since then, that has been my motto. No means no. You decided that the rules didn't apply, and I cannot countenance that. If I dismiss the suit, I'm saying to all the rule breakers, you just go ahead, do whatever your evil little heart desires. Rules are for chumps. That kind of lawlessness is a raw cancer in our country. shaming us.
Mrs. Morningside, I'm a Christian woman. The Lord said not to return evil for evil. I'd like to tear your eyes out and mount them on a stick, but instead,
She reaches into her purse and pulls out the music box.
Paul gave this to me out of the love you lack. He said he used to have it, that I'd been lost and only recently turned up. Plays a little tune. I want you to have it. Play it. Think of him.
Little shit-faced turd. You come to me at this moment and you try to clear your name, rob my family blind with this? How dare you? How dare you take a toy my father gave me when he was poor and without prospects? Something I listened to in the dark and in the night, in the dark times, in the sad times, and in the times. How you take something I cherish and you flip it around in my face and you try to use it to curry some sort of favor with me? You haven't earned the right. You sit there and you play the victim and try to make me feel sorry. Sorry for you because you're black and oppressed? My decision stands. I will not give in to your Jesus pleadings and your pathetic attempts to blackmail me and my judgment, all because your girl can read fancy books. I'm sorry she can't advance, but I can't advance either. Look at my prospects. Look at my bills. Look at the jobs I've lost to you people. Where are my reparations? Huh? Where's my sympathy? I guess to get ahead of this world, I dreaded some sob story about my little pagan indie girl who can read books. If you want to fuck me, then fuck off of me. Jesus Christ!
Stop fighting. Just stop fighting. Can't you just get along?
He starts to hyperventilate and sweat. Shenequia and Cynthia subside as he falls into the chair.
Can't you two just quit?
Sweetie, are you okay?
Panic attack.
Stop. Both of you.
It's okay, Arthur. It's okay. Just take some deep breaths. Breathe. Breathe.
Are you okay? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to set you off.
Cynthia and Andrea draw near, crowding them.
I know you want to help, but give him some space. He's my friend. I got this. It's gonna be okay. That's it. Keep breathing. Slow and deep. Slow and deep. We got this. Gonna be okay. Good. Slow breathing. Slow. Slow. You know, we've seen each other.
Yeah.
Thursday night meeting at the Lutheran church. I saw you pick up a 30-day key bag.
Yeah.
I saw you at several meetings.
Weren't you a speaker at the Saturday Night Serenity Group?
I home group. It was my 7-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
You're gonna make it, my friend. But only one day at a time.
I'm not so sure about that.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Say it with me.
God,
Grant me
grant me
the serenity
serenity
to accept the things
to accept the things
I cannot change.
I cannot change.
The courage
Courage
to change the things I can. Change the things.
change the things I can.
Cynthia bows her head. She's starting to cry.
And Melissa,
Listen,
and the rest.
it's the difference. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
The women are crying.
I am so sorry. I let myself get carried away. Upsetting you was the last thing on my mind.
It goes for me too. Sometimes I show my ass when I have to keep quiet.
I'm embarrassed.
You hear me?
I'm embarrassed, you know.
You can't be any more than what you are. Let's get you a glass of water.
I'll go. She goes to the kitchen and the tap.
There's nothing more precious than serenity. Use a little of that. So here we are.
Andrea comes back with the water, gives it to Arthur, who drinks.
More if you need.
It's an opportunity.
She gives him a little hug, then turns to the others.
What are we all doing? Is it worth it? Is it really worth it? One man. One man is lost to us. Maybe we're about to lose ourselves. Miss Pitbull. Is it maybe time to let go? Just live with it?
Family honor.
No, Cynthia, no. No. Do you think that this is honoring our father? His fairness, all his kindness?
Morningside
Means nothing if we are hurting people. We're losing more than we're winning. And a little child is losing a chance to spread our wings. I'm not a church person anymore, but in Sunday school, I remember something about gaining one's life at the cost of losing one's soul. If the court disinherits her, what's the price?
She goes over to Cynthia and hugs her.
I know this is hard. Now is the time to be strong. Call Jane.
Cynthia walks over to the window and stares out.
Mama used to tell me to share. Nice. It's a real good thing you did for Artie. He was on the cliff and you pulled him back. It hasn't escaped my notice that your plaque, I saw you praying, and yours are praying people. I have a lot of trouble with Black folks, with anyone not like me. I'm not proud of it. I don't hold with race mixing, but you gave my dad a longer life. That's a good thing. And your kids deserve a chance in tough times. It's not on long enough.
She reaches for her pocket phone and calls.
Voicemail. Okay, Jane, this is Cynthia. I've been thinking parents' last wishes should be honored. I want you to drop the lawsuit first thing in the morning. I apologize to the judge and jury, but drop the lawsuit. I'll call you in the morning.
Expressions of disbelief, relief, and joy all around. Shenequia stands silently, prayerfully.
Oh, sis.
Well, if you are up to no good, this way I can keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
I have one condition.
Yeah?
You make damn sure that your girl does her homework. And tell your son to straighten up and fly right.
It's done.
A lot of strong words have passed between us, and some of them were the wrong words. I can't take them back, but I'll own up to them.
Well, I think we should all adjourn to our respective homes.
Agreed. There's one more thing I need to say.
She turns to Shenequia.
There's something else I have been getting wrong the whole time. Nice to meet you, Shenequia.
Fade to black. End of play.
Wow. And I read it. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's really important for any play in development to have an audience at some point. So your presence is a true gift, and I want you all to know that. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge our two critics in the room, critics. Now, I'm sorry, I had your last name. There you are, I'm sorry. And your last name is? Jessup, Danelle Jessup. So I would like to go to the two of you first. And these are questions that Larry actually gave me to ask you. So would one of you like to go first, and I'll just go through all the questions with you one at a time? Does that work? All right. Mr. Dix. So, no, it's absolutely fine. And if someone needs to leave, why don't we do that now? Thank you so much for coming out. I'm sorry. Absolutely. Thank you very much. What I would suggest to you is on the back of your cover is Larry's email. There's a hat. Here, okay. Thank you. If you have comments for Larry, then this goes for everybody. His email is on the back of the program, so please feel free to do that as well. Better yet, come to call. Better yet. Better yet. There you go. Okay. I would love for you to move up. Please.
Okay.
Absolutely wonderful. Okay. You ready to be grilled? Here we go. What works? What works? So the two of you first, and then we'll go to the audience. What works?
Okay.
So a lot works. I have a good side, so I kind of go through what I have here, and I'll probably have some other thoughts that come up. Cynthia's character, it works throughout the play, especially in the beginning, because there was a little lag in the beginning. Act 2 was very strong, very strong. In the beginning of Act 1, the relationship between the sisters was a little bit weak. I couldn't really tell that he had a strong relationship until throughout the play, so maybe that was a comfort level. But if I didn't have Cynthia's character in the very beginning, I would have been feeling a little dry. But I like the range of emotions that I went through because I was a little dragged in the very beginning. And then when it picked up Act 2, I'm crying in the back. So it worked just because there was that little drag. So it could work, but I would love to know a little bit. I would like the relationship between the two of you in the beginning to be as strong as it is throughout the play. And it doesn't pick up until you talk about the time you were speaking with your father and he was thanking you for it. Then you kind of start, the dynamic starts to get strong. The meeting with Shenequia in the beginning at the house, it works perfectly how you are able to describe Wilson's disease to those who don't know. Because Shenequia is a nurse, of course, so that was well written. It makes sense there because she would start to share a little bit about it. So I think that was well inserted. Andrea, with her uncomfortable questions and her character type, like it works because it's like the person who's having the uncomfortable question also kind of like says it in a way where it's like, I don't want to say this tough question, but I'm like this timid type of person. But it's like this hard question, and her personality kind of like balances out. So I which is why I really like Cynthia's character, because it wasn't trying to hold back on what would be said and how she feels, so being able to see that kind of add context to the storyline. Shenequia's character, in the Act 2, it really strengthens, because in Act 1 I really wasn't sure about, I know I'm supposed to say what words, but I have to say them together because I think they all kind of go together. I wasn't really sure about who you were. I did get the Christian, Southern kind type of mentality, but there was something that stood out that you said when you were speaking of all about split myself into two. And I saw that in this Act 2 when we had this interaction with Cynthia. But in Act 1, that's why I wanted to see it a little bit more, because it was, we were saying certain lines and it was like, oh, I can see a facial expression here. That's kind of missing. But I just had to say that to say how well it worked in Act 2. So Act 2, I think, is really strong with Act 1. I'm going to read what words I read. Mr. Vince. I love people who take notes. It's awesome.
Did you ask the question, or were we just supposed to do this?
What works? That's the question.
What works?
What works?
The thing that works is what we all want to hear, which is of the two of them, Shenequia and Cynthia, going at them. That's the big thing that you got going. And unfortunately, it's the big thing, and it's hard to make the other things compete with it. To me, you've got to make sure that that doesn't get lost. The momentum that it's going from that is just the most interesting thing about the play. And so the other characters need to be given, I think, as much as you can, something that is of similar interest. It's never going to meet that. And we hate to say we're all waiting to see that next part. And the next time to get there in the scenes. And the other thing is the scenes that are with Paul and Shenequia, because those two just leap out because they're the interest. I think that'll be something that you're going to have to grapple with and know that the rest of it needs to be as interesting as you can make those characters that are left over. But you can't, to me, you can't give them equal emphasis, because then it becomes where you don't have a strong thread going through, and that thread is there anyway. And the audience, that's me listening and representing the rest of you, is that you don't ever want it to be like, okay, get through this part because I'm waiting for this next great thing. So you've got this great thing going with those two sets, and it's not about the acting, it's not about what you've written for them, but I think I have a couple of suggestions about how to make that work even better as far as what works. And that is, there's a lot of repetition of some of the same thoughts that all the characters are saying. Actually, you be very rigorous in going through and saying, if they've said this thought, the audience catches that. If you've got it written properly, we know that they think this, and if you hear it again, the next scene, and maybe again, the next scene, there's, for instance, I'm just picking out one example, Cynthia's problems with Shenequia, her problems with black people in general, gets repeated a lot in the same vein and in the same thought. It can be maybe spoken, written differently, but if it's the same thing we've heard, we lose interest in that. If we have another facet of her character in that realm, but it's something different, it's actually a boon for the playwright to have more chance to write as rich a character as you can for everybody. But there's an example to me where I hear some of the same thoughts being expressed in a way it's like, we already know this, and then also that means your interest level will drop because you're not hearing something new. It's a tough thing that I like to say that every single line in the play in it should be something new. I'm saying that in a general way, but it really should be true that there should be something that the audience hasn't heard or heard fully, or something, because you want, the idea was for me, the audience never to let go. Like, I want to hear all of this, I want to be drawn through it, and the minute you feel it's like, this part is not interesting as much, because either it's not interesting for several reasons, or I'm just sorry you asked. Because you don't ever want it to be where you have the audience say, well, this part kind of relax a bit, there should always be this. So some examples of that are when, I lost my thought, not having a repetition, and don't hate me. But Arthur, the character is sympathetic. The character is being beautifully acted, and the character is something that we all know and probably maybe have family members. But in this case, his lines to me are the most generic. They are talking about things that I think we can always sit down and say, what is the problem of a drug addict or an alcoholic or whatever? What do they have? Well, they drop out of their programs, they run away, they're apologetic, they bother their family. That's one reason why I find that character the least interesting here, because it's not something that's specific in a way related to the situation here. It sounds like something that you could almost make up yourself. I'm just saying it in a way that most of his answers to things to me sound like what you would expect. I think the way to get around that is to find something in his character that is directly related, very specifically related to either the father, that should be the most, and when I say specific, I mean something that happened or something that is a specific bugaboo, not just general impression, I feel like I'm reeling, I'm not attracted to that. Those are generic.
Well, and interestingly, you both answered the next question.
Can the audience respond?
You
I have to leave in a moment.
You may, that's fine. Let's do that. That's fine, let's do that.
First of all, I'm very, very moved by it. I thought it was very powerful. I congratulate you, Larry, on putting it together, because I thought there were some very interesting twists which I didn't see. And I thought the acting were all terrific. I was really moved. I was sort of in tears watching this and watching it unfold. I would agree that the first act was slower than the second act, and the second act was so much together. I was very, very touched with the father interacting with Shenequia, and that was really very, very moving, I thought. And I wrote down, life is forgiving. That was a very powerful sort of emotional thing. But then looking at the three offspring, I thought your interactions were all very interesting. I actually thought Arthur's was actually a very interesting character, and I thought the emotion you showed there was extremely powerful and sort of counterpoise with the other two. So I thought all the characters were very distinctive, and I thought that was beautiful constructed. It's often you see Simmons and you see similarities, and so I thought it was very I look forward to seeing it again. I hadn't read it, so this was included this time, so I'll put it on the conquest.
Well, and seriously, if anyone even after this evening, please know that his email is on the back of our
I know.
Please send him messages. These are very valuable comments.
Unfortunately, I have to try it back.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
So we talked about characters that could be better defined. I think I'm going to skip over that question because I think you know the answer to those, unless you have other comments or anybody from the audiences.
Before we go farther, I would agree pretty much with what you had to say, Roy. I thought the first act was overwritten here. You really got to go in and do some serious editing. It's not that it's bad writing, it's just, you And I wondered, why didn't you do that all throughout the play? Because for me, that's where the energy, that's where because then I understood, first of all, why he gave her the money. We have to see that in order for that to be real enough. And then I think a lot of the stuff that you had with the sisters was just the same argument, grabbing the same argument. And I know we do that in families, but we don't need to see it. I mean, we know it, we recognize it. You know, you don't have to hit us over the head again. So I'm not gonna, I hate people to tell me what to do with my plays, Larry, since I've sitting here this time. You've got to help the dad and the, you gotta have that. I think that would help the first act.
One of the things I was going to say was the same thing, because the second act has the answers that we're sort of needing.
Yes.
Mentioned the background that we need something. If you leave at that intermission, you don't really have enough. And I'll go out on a limb and say I don't think the end of Act 1 is strong enough. A climax, if that's what you want to call it.
That's right.
But I think just not rewriting the play. Yes. Take the two first scenes of the four that are the Shenequia and Paul scenes and just put that right after Paul leaves. Arthur leaves, because then you will get the first half. And to me, the wonderful thing is the second scene of those two is where he says, "Do you love me?" And she says, "I think I can help you." And suddenly you have to go out to the mission and think,
Yeah.
and what does all this mean? And is it really this? Or is it that? You don't quite know for motivation. That will give you, that to me will give enough motivation for you to think, I've got to come back and see what happens next. But I think you've got to have some of the.
Well, I'm in agreement. When I was watching Act 1, it just felt slow.
It is slow.
Yeah.
Just,
And it's not the acting. The
No,
acting
no, no.
was it really was, but
yeah, I thought
and
so.
that's and once we saw that hospital scene, that's where it started jumping. But and really that's we all have dysfunctional family. We all have bitch of sisters and the person who drinks too much or takes too much drugs. We all got that. Well, we don't all have that.
Yeah.
That's the cool part. That's what I need to see.
So what's happening there is that's the thing about being specific. This is something, a very specific situation that we don't know.
Right.
Might be able to make it up. Somebody, that's interesting. But again, the things that are familiar, you can sprinkle that in just so you get a feel, but it doesn't have to be too real and too much. Because again, if you recognize it and it's also repeated, you can still
Well, Act 1 felt exposition everywhere.
It is. Absolutely.
I was noticing that in our first run through.
Yeah.
Wow, what
Next question for the group. What do you think of Cynthia's turnaround?
I like Cynthia's turnaround. And I just have to add this little button.
No, go ahead.
I actually like that Paul and Shenequia came in after Act 2. And it worked because I wanted to see the dynamic between the children, because that's what made Cynthia's turnaround impactful. Because Cynthia's relationship with Arthur is kind of related to the fact that he's having this issue. Andrea's having this conversation with Arthur, two conversations that Andrea and Arthur have in Act 1. They're too heavy and they feel misplaced. Like I feel like if you strip in that, then everything else makes sense, because I feel like the relationship between the three allows for Cynthia's turnaround to be so impactful, because it's related to how her brother is feeling. So we have this big scene where, we're going back and forth and that troubles him, and we have these layers throughout the play based on his situation, which makes it strong. I do agree that if you could connect one thing to the father, his character is rich because of Cynthia's turnaround. That's how I see it. I saw these two coupled together as being a strength for her turnaround. So that's how
you could clarify that a bit.
So, because in Act 1, we see that she cares about her brother. She's in the back, you know, she's kind of disconnected. So we kind of see her as just kind of like being this person who was a pit bull. She's not really as caring as she is, as Andrea is involved, she's kind of like in the back end. But you can see like she's these subtle different, there's subtle points where you know she cares, but you don't really see how much she cares until we wonder where he is. He comes back and she's very concerned, and then she's not really listening. She's still kind of like not paying attention to him starting shaking inside the party with her. So like all of the different things that are happening around Cynthia in the beginning is like, it's like all you see her with these punchlines. She keeps saying these things. You don't see this connection that Andrea has with her. So you're not really seeing that she's connected to her brother. But throughout the play, it seems like it softens a lot because you see the moments where like, where is he? Like, those to me didn't seem generic just because it was like it's generic, but it doesn't in this play it doesn't seem generic because it's like, well, Cynthia's response to him, I don't know how to explain it. If I could write it down, if I make a lot more
Yeah,
sense.
We're dealing with the family triangle, and those two legs, those 2 points on the triangle, Arthur and Cynthia, are really not. There needs to be more between them.
I have a question. So these two are half sisters. Which one is the full brother, and what are the 2 mothers? What happened?
Okay. Let me make sure I get this right. Cynthia is the firstborn of Paul's first wife.
And was that Diane?
Yeah.
The first one?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But that was the second wife, and she had Andrea and Arthur.
So he really loved the second wife. Wait a minute. Diane. And that was Adele.
Adele.
I'm confused.
My mom's
Yeah.
dead.
And is your mom dead or alive?
My mom's dead. Right?
Yeah.
And is that why the marriage ended?
Adele died. Adele died before Paul.
They're both dead.
After Paul. Before Paul. Yeah, they're both gone. Okay.
But my mom, did she die or was it divorced?
Trying to remember back, I didn't make a big deal of it. I think Diane died also. Yeah. Yeah. she did.
So they're both friends.
And I wanted there to be some sort of friction because of having 2 separate mothers. I wanted to have that driving a lot of disagreement between Cynthia and her half-sibling. So that was the thinking behind that decision.
Okay, I didn't get it. But clearly I didn't understand the...
It could be drawn out, it could be drawn a little.
I mean, I was just thinking when you're talking about specifics and particulars, that there are within, I mean, you talk about growing up poor,
Right.
which she didn't
Well,
experience.
the big thing about Cynthia is she had a very different childhood from these two. By the time Adele and these two came along, our family, my dad's situation, family life, or my family life, had changed.
Paul was in a higher economic status.
Yeah, they had a very different upbringing than mine.
Yeah.
Even though we're with us. And even like their mom. Cynthia softens when the screen interaction about the screaming. I think that was a really good scene. It was something that's missing from the book, and it has to be something that's developed with Andrea's character. When she went off to go into that screen, I like the optimism at the beginning of that charming screen, but there's just something there that I like, but it just didn't.
Well, Andrea is undeveloped. That became obvious very much. I'm working on giving her more time. We'll work it.
But I seen Cynthia soften at that point, soften when we don't know where your brother is, and then it's because of how her brother responds to the tension that's happening. That she's like, now I want to be a better person. You know, she needed to have all that to happen in the beginning. Act 1, but
Well, the new backstory is that Andrea got
wanted to know more when I was reading the play about why the marriages fell apart.
Yeah.
And why Paul is driven to flirt with sobriety. That and much to
And how much his journey with sobriety
well
mirrors his
exactly.
son's
I mean,
journey.
and Paul hints at it. Sorry, I believe Cynthia hints at it, but Paul
Yeah.
drank, right?
Yeah.
So if Arthur is the son of an alcoholic, there's a whole psychological dynamic there that's really interesting.
Well, and Cynthia's drinking like fish.
Oh, and yeah, hello.
You notice?
So those are the questions that were running through my head when I was reading this, because it wasn't enough that was on the page. I needed more.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention it because
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm glad you mentioned it, because that line stuck out to me. I had read it before. I think the one line of when Dad
started drinking. So did
ding, because
so
that's
could it be that
that's the
maybe
thing to use.
yeah, could it be
Pull
that
that out
maybe
and let that be
the
Paul.
first wife got sick and he couldn't deal and he was poor and I mean there's a whole bunch of backstories you can come up with,
Yeah.
but I agree, I think the more you can touch on different buttons for people, even if it's not obvious. And I mean I have my own personal experiences that I'm gonna bring to this, don't we all? That's the beauty of live theater, right? So and the scene with Arthur and the Serenity Prayer, oh my God.
Yeah.
That just slays me. It's beautiful. Please don't touch that.
And maybe if you keep messing with this, I think really care about the role.
Well, I know about art, I'm telling you, it's not the acting.
No,
It's
no,
just-
no,
it's not
absolutely not.
something else.
Yeah.
It gives us something to grab onto that's like
Yeah.
unique.
Then that serenity thing for me will really be much.
Yeah.
But if I don't care about it, then okay, good acting. I can't believe you can make yourself cry like that. That's really fine. But I mean, really, it is for an actor. That's I think it's a really hard thing to do. But I know you want us to care enough about it, but we're crying with you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I have another question. Why are you including information about Bynum?
Okay, that's I wrote the play with the intention of having everything occur on one side. The hospital scene I thought was necessary to play out. But I didn't want to have to write another scene for there in the lawyer's office. So I brought the lawyer's office into them with the Zoom meeting, which attaches us to the pandemic.
Okay, I figured there was a reason. I just wondered what it was.
Yeah.
Well, what struck me was, I'm all for never using technology on stage unless you can. And to me, relying on that Zoom meeting to go as it's planned, whether it's recorded or live or whatever, it's always asking the trouble. So could he not be visiting a house, let's forget the pandemic, could the lawyer not come to the house, tell the two that Paul was, it could be Arthur can still be late, but
Back on the same thought.
the idea that way you take care of it, and he's the family lawyer.
He invited her to show up at
And
the
just
house.
come right in and
More
say,
like-
we want to be here.
Even better, bring him to the house.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was my-
Right, Father.
They're the lawyer's family friends, but
Right.
That means they would have to be, otherwise they'd never come into the house.
But
So you guys have other comments. I want to make sure we get everything that you'd like to say.
I just want to bring up the fact, and I'm figuring here in the comment, there's two parts of two themes that to me suddenly shift into an entirely different history lesson out of the pages of the textbook. And it's the black history of black background. One of them is the scene when I really don't believe somehow that the character of Paul suddenly shifts out of his lovey-dovey and flirting guy to say, oh, by the way, how is it to be a black person seems like we're gonna give the audience a little.
Yeah, this is part of my writing process. Originally, the play was going to be a lot more explicit about racial attitudes, and this was a surviving part of that.
But working it subtly and
I know, yeah.
suddenly shifting into where did this new
I have
sort
thought
of thing
for that. A way to get to that could be through the two children, because it's a natural thing. Tell me about your kids. And talking about, I mean, Tamika's going to be facing those. I mean, it's sort of like your struggles are her struggles are, you know, and that could be a way to get at that without it having to be.
But it also needs to be casual. It needs to be a casual.
Of course, the other
conversation
thing
like
is-
I'm having. It works it in there, but not suddenly so formal.
Okay, the other thing is that, which you might be able to take advantage of, is that Paul used to be a professor,
Yeah.
right? And that's a very professorial thing to do. It could be. And but if she pointed out, wait a minute, am I in your class right now?
Yeah.
Somehow there's a way to.
And the other one is I think I might have read from you right now. Isn't the scene in Act 2, scene 1 between the two sisters, isn't there this southern section there too about black? Where is it?
Yeah, we can.
Somewhere there's another.
I work with black people. I
Very black.
Yeah.
Oh no, I thought that was real.
I love that one. It was like if you were white.
But I think
That's
that's
one of my
something
favorite.
to try the same
Yeah.
approach with, is to make it sound normal and real conversation, not sort of shift
So
into.
the play actually had, when I started writing, the original intent was to take a look at the different shades of racism within white progressives. But I found that really wasn't working dramatically. It was more dramatic to have an out-and-out racist in the family to bounce off of. So there's little hints of that left in from some of my research too. So
The old thing of show not tell
yeah.
is the way to work any of this, is because you can let I love what she said about letting the audience participate.
Yeah.
You know, you can have it so that we get it all of a sudden. It's like, oh, gosh, they're making these little comments, and you put that together, pretty bad. Pretty racist, rather than announcing it or having it be very formally talked about.
I think the one you mentioned was, she says it's a reasonable question, we've always had it in for black people.
Yeah.
And that it's good, that's, yeah.
Because it suddenly seems to shift.
Yeah.
It isn't a natural
And then we
thing.
kind of drop it.
It doesn't have to be all at once. It can come and go, that you kind of pick the pieces and just listening for a natural sounding to match the rest of that. And maybe you meant this as funny and whatever, but to me, everybody calling her a pit bull, there were 6 of them in the story. Is that, I guess that's on purpose.
It just seemed like a nice metaphor.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I love the fact that we would get that anyway, without that word ever being used.
Yeah.
It's almost like pigeonholing her into an image of that, rather than saying it, let the audience go, wow, she could even come up with that. None of it. Or she's a badger or whatever.
Or she acts like that for a while, and then finally somebody says,
Yeah,
"It
and
goes."
or at
And everybody
the
goes,
end.
"Oh yeah!"
That's what we've been
Yeah.
thinking all along. Yeah, like,
So I never said you were pit bull. Your dad described you as a pit bull.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even when she tells her to let it go, I think I did the same.
Yeah, I agree on this.
what your mom said, how.
So, yeah,
people are. All these
So that's what I
things.
want. I want to get people back to come down and share. What do you have to say, Mr. Man?
I'm just the audience.
That's the
I was
audience.
thoroughly.
There is no just.
I like the plays, I like the acting, I like the characters. I don't want to know any of you because I know who you are now. You're all different, and I thoroughly enjoy it. What you're trying to do is make a play better. I understand.
It's all part of the
But
work.
I was entertained. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody.
before I do that, I did want to mention something that works throughout the play for me, as someone who's raised to play the black woman, is the name Shenequia being wrong the entire play and then bringing it at the end. Well done, because that honestly made me cry, and part of it was easy to say, but I just know the experience of how many people have names.
I've noticed that for years.
Yeah.
People just, why can't you name Billy or Susie?
Yeah.
What's this weird African sounding made up name?
Yeah.
I've always noticed that.
Yeah, and I like that it kept, you kept bringing that in because it's kind of funny.
Well,
it's funny.
well,
It's to
well,
watch.
I'm going to tell on Melanie, but she told me in rehearsal, I'm going to try to make you crack up every time I mispronounce it. So,
I came up with so many different ways to pronounce that. My goal is to make you laugh every time.
well,
And I heard you chuckle tonight, so I did it.
it was deliberate, but when you morphed it into Shaquille O'Neal, that's when I lost it.
I did like the fact that Arthur knows how to say it.
Yeah.
Well,
Everyone knows how to say
Saying
it.
that he's much more open and savvy and knowledgeable and sort of just, he knows that it's important.
Arthur knows how to what?
He knows how to say things.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Well,
he heard it
everyone
from
gets
me.
it right for me.
He heard it from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knows it's important.
Arthur is the most woke of the three.
Andrea thinks she's woke.
Yeah.
There's a point when he's talking to Andrea, and the way that the line is set, I think it was just kind of throwing me off because it was about rings and like, did that matter to you? And I think that was an important line to say, but the way that it was said, not saying active, but just be mindful of how it's just important because I didn't know that the way you said it that matter to you was like something that shocked you, or if it was something that was confusing or interesting based on just the way it was said. But I think it was an important line, and how you responded to it too. It was just an important moment that I wanted to hear, but it just it just expanded a little bit more, like, and even how you respond to like, did that matter to you? Like, it didn't seem like she was caught off guard about him seeing that like they don't know each other.
Yeah, that's something one of those things in the back of my head from before, just Andrea in general.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Her character.
Not she.
Yeah, she did. She did fine, but I sensed as I was writing that she wasn't getting enough material. I tried to take my cue from the actor if possible.
And, the other thing, her being a pit bull, that's not always a good thing growing up either.
Right.
Get off my back! I mean.
Oh, Cynthia used to go beat the shit out of the kids who picked on her younger sibling.
Well, or maybe it wasn't picking on, maybe it was flirting. Because, people will protect the family, but it might turn around and bite you too. You never know. I think that's, for me, because of being such a huge shift so quickly, so late in the story, that was, for me as an actor, like, how do I make that happen and make sense? And part of what I determined for that was Cynthia finally realizing that she's not protecting them by doing this, she's hurting them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that for her is like, okay, whatever I'm doing has to stop because I'm actually hurting the people I'm trying to protect by behaving this way.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's one reason why I love it.
If that's happened in the past and you've had a realization
Yeah.
that, okay, I need to back off.
Yeah, I think this is probably the first time she's really realized it to that degree, and that's what helped make such a big change happen for me. Finally recognized that.
She said it a lot better.
One of the things I like about Cynthia is she's not really into self-awareness.
No.
That's what I like character, right? So,
When Dan started drinking it, she's not drinking.
I know, right?
Hypocrisy is good.
What you mentioned about it not being as organic, I don't know, maybe it's just something I might not know about white people, and I'm sorry if I'm saying it incorrectly, but I get interactions like this to be really realistic. Like, and it's just because sometimes when white people are talking to black people, they don't really realize that they say just random weird things. And that's why it was believable to me, because it's like, that's what made that interaction so strong. Because like, I
fairly extensive. Read several books, one of them, Nice Racist, excellent book, and talked about how white people were really unaware of how they seem, of how they come off black. There's a total lack of awareness. Like, oh, you know, that crap about I don't see color, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the rehearsal, I said something about that Larry. He said, no, that's.
I to make that as cringy as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm glad you noticed that.
Yeah, I think that it was everything that everyone's, I mean, you guys seem like white people, and I don't mean that in like in a negative way, but in a way to bring this play home for me is for it to not seem like you're trying to cover anything up.
Well, I'm
In
glad
that
to hear that.
I think I like that idea that you mentioned, that that's, at least it is kind of, I realize, how can he say that, but yes,
Yeah.
he could. But I think that instead of letting that scene still go on as a more history lesson, let it be something that she jokes about, or tries to get a little, maybe offended or whatever, but it
All can say something.
again,
Or
something-
educate.
educate
Okay,
somebody,
okay.
you know,
Okay, let's talk about how, that's not how you say that.
I'm glad you guys said that because the way I think that Shenequia's character is, it's not, she wouldn't respond. She actually reminds me more about myself, and black people, we come in different layers. So there's a black, her name, it was just kind of funny, her name Shenequia. Shenequia's response to things like that wouldn't be how you just mentioned. But she's a Christian Southern woman with this man. She's going to be a lot more
Diplomatic.
yeah, she's going to be more diplomatic, and she says about like when she's in the area and she's trying to be two people, or there's two different ways she's trying to respond. That's a real thing, and so she's not always going to respond in the attitude way. Now there are nurses, and their name will be Shenequia, that will say, "I'm not going to say it like that," But the way, that's why I said it in Act 1, because she's that Christian Southern black woman. She's not the one that's going to hop off, and she at the end, but she still has it in her. But she's trying to still be in this whole world that's outside of our world, and communicate something. And it's like, you're still trying to communicate to people that that like slavery is done, that it's all over, but it's still like something that you deal with every day. You don't really know what they're going to say, or if you're saying something wrong, or things like that. Like, I just needed to see those two things in the beginning, but I see that Act 2 again. But her character is good. In my opinion, there is a black person and a black woman, but the way this character is written, she wouldn't respond. It's exactly how it is. It's exactly what it was like. Right? The way it's written is kind of scary, because it's like, because you are a white man and you was able to write that the way it is, but it was like well written, because I don't think you could see it how we see it. And I think, and it's probably because you're black, and you could.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think that was in the mix.
Yeah.
Also, there is, one thing I noticed in my reading is that black folks, I'm summarizing here, obviously, have to say things very carefully. Really, they can't come across as being direct or aggressive. So yeah, diplomatic is for gently saying, well, maybe there's another way to.
But there are some black women who would. It's just
Yeah,
and
there's been a both of those, I think, in
Yeah.
she's sort of, I see her sort of veering from nice Southern Christian diplomatic to somebody's being right in the face.